Have you ever felt stuck in a particularly unpleasant state of mind? Like, I'm failing, or life seems to move so fast that I just can't keep up? Or I'm inadequate at being a parent, at my job, at romance, or at life in general? Or the world is a horrible and scary place? Or no one cares about me? Well, let me tell you a quick story. In 2006, I was an infantry company commander with the 25th Infantry Division out of Oahu, Hawaii. We deployed to a region in south central Iraq to a town called Hawija. Now, this was a particular hotspot for the Sunni insurgency. Our resolve was tested almost immediately, and we lost some terrific, great soldiers to IEDs and small arms fire in the first few months alone. And we took many wounded as well, and times were really, really tough. I mean, we didn't get to relax at all. We were constantly on alert to deploy our quick reaction forces, to use our counterfire mortars and artillery that we would use to react to the mortars and artillery and rockets from the enemy. And we were always ready to receive casualties. We often had to triage the Iraqi army wounded as they were living on our small forward operating base as well. Now, it was a bad place to be at that time, but it was our mission. So we did what we could at that time to create a secure and prosperous environment in that region. Now, I remember for me, it felt like Groundhog Day. My company consisted of a scout sniper platoon, the mortar platoon, the medical platoon, and then the battalion headquarters section. I was also responsible for establishing an Iraqi army battalion of several hundred soldiers on the forward operating base, and all the construction and the housing and the security that came with that. All in all, there was about 300 plus soldiers operating as part of my company. And so there was millions of dollars of property to look after and maintain. And I was focused on the security of the base and just all of this stuff that was so important that I just never really wanted to do. I wanted to be out fighting bad guys. And my boss and the executive officer took great joy in reminding me that I was the FOB mayor and that I wasn't going to be out doing what normal infantry officers do when they're company commanders. And in my mind, this really sucked, and I felt like an imposter. Here I was, an airborne ranger infantry captain who had trained for warfighting all of my years up to that point, and I was doing this basically an administrative job in one of the hottest places on earth. What made it even worse is that I was worried about my career and the effect that this assignment would have on my long-term prospects in the infantry. Now, I know that I was focused on the wrong things back then. But back then, I thought my reasoning was justified. And as the saying goes, it's easy to have 20/20 vision when you're looking in the rearview mirror. I did my best to keep up appearances and be even keel around my subordinate leaders and the soldiers. But inside my primary mood was one of frustration and disenfranchisement. These moods were exacerbated by the thought that there was nothing I could do to change them. Now, whatever your primary role is in life, I can guarantee you that you're going to be challenged by moods. Moods will affect the way that you perceive life, and they're almost like a filter that you're looking through. Let me give you some encouragement, though. Moods are largely based on our thinking patterns and our beliefs, and they can be managed with discipline. Now, if you haven't watched episode 1 yet, I encourage you to look in the description below and click on that link and watch episode 1. In episode 1, I talked about short-term thinking patterns, and those influence our disposition as well. Those were focus, language, and physiology. Now I want to cover the next 3 factors that I call ingrained thinking patterns and beliefs. As well, these are adopted from the human needs psychology. They are, number 1, your driving force. Number 2, your blueprint. And number 3, your emotion of choice. The first pattern is your driving force, which is your 6 human needs, your 6 universal human needs. The presupposition that we're operating on is that everyone has these same 6 needs, and all of our actions are driven by the desire to meet one or more of these needs. Those needs are, number 1, certainty, knowing that you can move from pain to pleasure. Number 2 is variety, knowing that you can get stimulation through varying activities. Number 3 is significance, knowing that you matter to someone or something else. Number 4 is connection and love. That's the deep emotional bond between you and someone or something else. Number 5 is growth, the consistent expansion of your understanding, your capabilities, and your competencies. And number 6 is contribution. That's giving of your resources to something outside and bigger than yourself. The second pattern is your blueprint for life. That consists of your global belief system. For instance, what is your purpose in life and what do you believe about heaven and hell and God and the devil and a whole bunch of other stuff. Next is identity. Who do you think that you are? Next is values, your values, like your deepest desires and your greatest fears. And then principles. Those are your shortcuts to decision making based on your values. And then rules. Well, those are kind of like the source of heaven and hell within you, the determining factors for prioritizing your actions to be in line with your values. And then the vehicles. The vehicles are what you use to meet your 6 needs. And then meta programs. The way we process information, for example, internal versus external frames of reference for life. Like, how do you know you're doing good? Does somebody else tell you, or do you just know? The third pattern is your fuel of choice. Fuel of choice is your dominant emotional state or your dominant mood. Now I want to introduce you to the next presupposition, which is when your life conditions are equal to your blueprint, then you're going to be happy. When your life conditions are not equal to your blueprint for life, you're going to be unhappy. And then when your life conditions are not equal to your blueprint for life and you don't feel like you can change anything, then that's called suffering. So let's take all this information and go back and look at my time in Iraq and apply these patterns and beliefs and see what I could have done differently to change the way I felt. Let's look at number 1, my driving force. My top 2 needs back then were probably significance because I had up to that point served in positions of increasing responsibility for a long time to be a company commander. And I wanted all the influence and the freedom of maneuver that came with that position. And then secondly, certainty. I wanted the certainty that we could get the mission done on time, to standard, to keep our soldiers safe and to get everyone home alive. Now, in my mind, I wasn't meeting either one of those needs, and there was nothing I could do about it. So in a sense, I was causing myself to suffer. So how could I have changed that? Now, when your needs aren't being met in the way that you desire, you can do one of 2 things. You can deliberately decide to change your primary needs, or you can take actions that are congruent with your values to meet those needs. Now, let's look at my blueprint. My conditions for life did not equal my blueprint. In my blueprint, I was a warrior leader, and I needed to be out leading soldiers to close with and destroy the enemy, because that's what infantrymen do. But my actual life conditions were a lot of administrative work and relationship building with Iraqi army officers. And again, I felt like there was nothing I could do about that, so I was causing myself to suffer. Now, if your blueprint is not in line with your life conditions, you can do 2 things. You can take a closer look at your blueprint to see where it's incongruent with your life conditions. Now, if you want, you can change your blueprint, or you can take actions congruent with your blueprint to bring your life conditions in line with your vision for life. Let's look at that third thing. Let's look at the fuel of choice. My primary fuel of choice back then was frustration and anger that my life wasn't turning out the way I had envisioned it. My frustration and anger was coloring all of my interactions and experiences a very pitiful shade of discontent. Knowing what I know now, I could have easily changed my fuel of choice to something more compatible with being locked on a forward operating base, such as being idyllic, calm, or hopeful. And that would have been much better for me and much better for my company. So here's your call to action. So answer the following question. Are your life conditions equal to your blueprint for life? If not, do you feel like you have the power to change your life conditions? And what would you want to change to get your life conditions equal to your blueprint for life? Now, if you would like to learn more about me and the work that I do with the Confident Purposeful Mind, click in the link in the description and subscribe to my blog and my newsletter. If this was helpful to you, please give this video a thumbs up, share, and subscribe. And leave me a comment telling me what was beneficial and helpful for you out of this video, and then what would you like me to cover in future videos. So thanks for watching.